I'm not kidding. This may be one of the best sound bars you can get. After going to Audio Advice Live a year ago and listening to all of the professional home enthusiast audio setups, including one system worth over $180,000, I came upon the KEF demo room where they were pulling out this little rectangular object they said makes music and TV sound. It looks like a soundbar, but they insisted it's just a bar-shaped thing that makes really good sound. Whatever you want to call it, the KEF XIO is an incredibly expensive soundbar.
And how much is it worth?
$2,500.
Holy cannoli! But the sound that emanated from it as I heard this a cappella demo just really knocked my socks off. I couldn't believe how good this thing sounded in comparison to everything else I had just heard for the price. It was like somebody sprinkled magical little audio fairy dust into my little Danny ears. Luckily, I was able to go to Crutchfield and find an open box model for $2,100, so I saved a few bucks on this. Now, this is literally the nicest piece of audio gear I have ever possessed in my house. Now, it doesn't come with much, but you do get the remote and batteries and an HDMI cable included. Oh, and some wall mount brackets if you're doing it that way. KEF is definitely known around the world for having a very high quality, clear sound, and recently they partnered with the brand Nothing to create the sound for these headphones, who are also the sponsors for today's video. Today's video is sponsored by Nothing. Not literally nothing, but the Nothing Ear 3s in my ear. They have like this transparent case and the pods themselves are kind of transparent. Some of the key features about the Nothing Ears is that there's something called a super mic available on the case. It's actually got a dual microphone in there, so it's better at noise canceling up to 95 decibels. To activate the mic, you just hold the talk button, and if you have a longer conversation, you can double tap to keep it on. And if you keep it long pressed, it'll activate your phone's assistant. All right, so I'm out here with the Nothing Ear 3s on in my ear. And in case you're wondering how that super mic sounds, that's right. So here's what the super mic sounds like in comparison. I'm just out here as well with myself. And then back to the Nothing Ear here. With its 12mm PMI driver and TPU surround, the Nothing Ear 3 can support high-res audio, including immersive sound and LDAC. Not only is there 8-band equalization for these, but you can also choose from a curated list of people who have made EQ that sounds really good. These also feature the most updated Bluetooth 5.4, which allows dual device connection, so you could easily switch between your phone and your laptop. I really like the pinch feature because they've coupled it with a sound that lets you know that it's receiving your feedback. There's no like ambiguity about whether you're touching and it's working. It's like making a little click, click, click. Yeah, so this is just the Nothing Ear 3s. So I'm gonna turn on the super mic and just hold this button. So now there's still wind noise around me, but hopefully it sounds a little bit better. You tell me, you be the judge. Thanks Nothing for sponsoring this video and making my channel possible. There we go, all 23 pounds, all my money is now in this 23-pound object. So what's in the guts of this thing? Well, you've actually got 12 drivers at full use would command over 800 watts of power, so this thing's not joking around. Of those 12 drivers, you have actually 6 medium frequency to high frequency, but only 3 of those get used at a time. If you're gonna orient it on the wall like this, it can auto-detect that and it will use 1, 2, and 3. And if you put it like most people would probably do, it's gonna use 1, 2, and 3. It actually has 4 low frequency drivers here. 1, 2, 3, 4. They're 2 inches by 7 inches, and they use something called VCO technology. Essentially, it helps it not distort at the low end. It also has a full range driver on the left and a full range driver on the right. For connections in the back, you've got your HDMI eARC 2.1, which allows you to get high quality audio. You've also got optical and a network jack back there if you need that, and your little subwoofer cable. Now, when I took this out of the box to just listen to it, I actually didn't think it sounded that great. You need to calibrate it. It sounds like water is just rushing around and then just sort of stops. The speaker actually has microphones that will listen to itself and see where it's bouncing on and off of furniture and different surfaces. And what I noticed is that it sounds significantly better once you do the calibration. There are other EQ modes you can use. You can switch them on the remote or in the app, including a dialogue mode. One quality of life tip I will give you is the HDMI connection with the auto on and off feature and your TV automatically using this. Make sure that your eARC on the TV is set to auto and that you go in the KEF app and tell it specifically to power on when the TV powers on. I had that off for a while and I was getting real frustrated because I had to keep turning this thing on manually. This is one of the few soundbars that I actually have enjoyed listening to music on. Normally a soundbar, I don't really want to listen to music on it. It's a little bit fatiguing to my ears. This one though, because of the overall low distortion and pretty decent separation. I really enjoyed listening to hi-fi audio on it. Now, you can listen to a multitude of different apps like Qobuz and Tidal. Qobuz is the one I use, and I was listening to Phil Collins' Know Something Required. Oh my God, I suck at remembering albums. But regardless, I was able to hear like the synth coming out of each side with some separation and then his voice booming through the middle. And it was just a really pleasing experience. Is it going to be as good as like a stereo setup? No, like, you know, a stereo setup with a receiver or integrated amplifier is always going to surpass this. But for a soundbar that takes up this form factor, that's pretty incredible. And of course, movies are fantastic on this, specifically the separation between audio. The dialogue is just really clear on this. A lot of soundbars are okay at the dialogue, but it tends to get mixed up with the other sounds. And this one is one of the few ones that I just feel like, wow, the voice like really pushes through the mix to my ears, and I'm actually able to hear it without captions. Now, obviously, the mix of the movie is going to alter how the sound comes through here. Not every experience is going to be that great. For YouTube, it definitely doesn't matter. The mixing on YouTube is not that good. Don't take my word for it. Let's go ahead and watch a Spider-Man trailer and see what the sound difference is to you next to an older Sony soundbar I had lying around.
This life is not an easy one. I've made powerful enemies. I've put those I love in danger. But the one thing that has haunted me my entire life is finding the truth about my parents. About my parents.
You're a wanted man, Peter Parker. You're a wanted man, Peter Parker. You're a wanted man, Peter Parker. You're a wanted man, Peter Parker.
500? That seems a bit excessive. You know, if you're gonna steal cars, don't dress like a car thief. You found my weakness in small knives.
I'm here in the edit bay listening to the recordings, and I'm going to say you're hearing a lot more of the room in the recordings than you are in real life. One thing that's consistent is the Sony is a bit brighter.
Someday you'll understand.
Did you tell the boy about his father?
But also what you can't hear in real life is things getting lost more on the Sony versus the KEF seems to have better separation in real life. Impressions with the Sony, it sounds good in its own way, but the voice gets lost in the mix much more. Initial impressions for the KEF XIO, there's a lot of good separation in the audio, like you can hear it coming from the left and the right of the speaker. The voices just like, I rarely hear a mid-range with voices out of a soundbar that sounds as crystal clear as that. It feels like if you're going to get a soundbar, like this thing is not compromising. You're really hearing everything without what I could perceive as any sort of distortion or anything. So, do you need a subwoofer with this soundbar? No, you don't really need a subwoofer, but do you want a subwoofer? Of course. There's quite a bit of bass that comes out of here, and it captures most of it, but just for the really, really deep low end, like if you're watching Interstellar and you want the room to move a little bit, you're not going to quite get that out of here. You'll get most of it, but not that rumbly low end. You don't have to get a KEF subwoofer. You can get like a Klipsch or something else that may be a little more affordable and works probably just as well. The reason I got the KC62 was because I wanted to try out that sub, but that thing is expensive. It's $1,600. I wouldn't recommend that unless you have the money for it. It's a phenomenal sub, but you may not need that with this. Conspiracy theory time. You may know that Devialet also has a really fancy soundbar they make called the Dione. This has a very similar look to that one, aside from this big like center ball thing in the middle. Like you'll notice the sides here with the these speakers. It just looks very suspiciously similar. However, theirs is like 5 pounds heavier. Instead of 12 drivers here, it has 17 drivers. And the dimensions are just slightly different, slightly taller. So it may be possible that it's coming off of a similar factory line in China. Maybe, I'm not saying that for sure, but it's definitely a different product. So I think that conspiracy is debunked. It's definitely a different soundbar. Just looks kind of similar. So who is this for? Well, for me, in my particular situation, I bought it because I wanted to still show off my beautiful design within reach walnut media console. Like, I didn't necessarily want big floor standing speakers on each side. I wanted to enjoy my furniture, and I didn't want this to visually take away from that. So this kind of represented like the perfect balance between getting a hi-fi audio setup and still using that soundbar form factor. Now, obviously, it's never going to sound as good as like a stereo system with integrated amplifier, but it's pretty dang good, and it looks good on my counter. So this is really for that one person who does truly want high quality audio, but wants a form factor that is not going to take over their entire living room. KEF even does that with their subwoofer, with the KC62. It's a tiny subwoofer, but it outputs a way more bass than it should for the form factor. Will this be my forever unit? Like, am I going to hold on to this forever? Probably not. But that's because I like to review audio, and I will eventually be stepping up to some sort of 2.0, 2.1 kind of sound system with probably floor standing speakers. But for somebody who just wants a really, really high quality sound system without the visual interference of a bigger setup or complications, I think there is a sweet spot and a customer for this. So if you made it to the end of the video, let me know what you think. Do you think the KEF XIO is something you could ever see yourself getting? Does the price need to come down? And also, if you'd like to support me, you can use the affiliate links below. I greatly appreciate it if you're willing to use those. It helps me keep the channel going and be able to afford to keep this going and share it with you guys. And thanks for being here, and I'll see you guys later. Bye. I'm gonna go watch a movie. You go watch a movie too. Okay, I'm going away.